If you'd please welcome to the stage CEO and Executive Director of the Martin Luther King Jr. Performing and Cultural Arts Complex, Ms. Demetrius Neely.
Thank you so much. Good evening and welcome to the King Arts Complex, where dreams come alive. Thank you on behalf of the Board of Directors, staff, and volunteers. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have a marvelous evening planned honoring the President, the First Lady of The Ohio State University. So we're so excited. Now, it's fitting that we honor the best in higher education, as we have been voted the best in class in youth education, and the video that follows will tell the story. Tonight, we are just overjoyed that we're honoring the President, and we're overjoyed to celebrate education, because that is what it's all about at the end of the day. So direct your attention to this video that will run just in a few minutes, but I want to introduce it. The two young ladies that are featured in the video are both products of The Ohio State University, and one is a product of both The Ohio State University and the King Arts Complex, a part of our youth education program affectionately known as the King Kids. So direct your attention to the video. It'll tell the whole story.
This camp really helped me become who I am today, to be honest. Like, art is a huge part of who I am. So I just wanted to see that same thing be given to these kids.
Every day that I come in, I see that we are responsible for the future.
I know we hear it all the time, and it's sort of a cliche thing now that the children are our future, but it's the reality.
It's a very sobering experience for me every day to see them grow, to see them develop their talents and their gifts. It's a very empowering thing, but it's very serious to me. You know, it's not, I don't take it lightly.
So a place like this where they have funding available for those who can't pay for it, you know, it's like, let's take advantage of this opportunity. Like, these kids are gold mines. You know, they have so much potential, so much greatness in them, and they just need people to cultivate it and bring it out.
It's more than just a kids camp, more than something to, you know, just check off of a list, but you're pouring into lives. You could be pouring into the next Martin Luther King. You can be pouring into the next anyone who is influential. You know, you never know what gifts and talents are truly in this community, and they get overlooked a lot because it is just a rundown urban community, but there's so much beauty, you know, under the ground if somebody would just be willing to dig, you know. So I would encourage you to dig with your seed, dig with your support. You never know, you know, what you might find.
I love that video, and I can tell you enjoyed it also. Next, I want to bring to the stage Mr. Mark Corner, CEO of Corner Coasting Construction and Chairman of the Board of the King Arts Complex. Mark, give him a warm round of applause.
Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of the King Arts Complex, we welcome you to our 10th annual Legends and Legacies event. Tonight, we are absolutely delighted to honor the first African-American president of The Ohio State University, Dr. Michael Drake, and his wife, Brenda. Dr. Drake and Brenda have been great friends of the complex since they arrived in 2014, and we greatly appreciate all of their support and look forward to more in the future. Before we get started with our recognition of President and Mrs. Drake, we'd like to thank our sponsors. First, we want to recognize our honorary co-hosts for the evening, Renee and Alex Shoemate, and Sheila and Jean Smith. We also thank the entire honorary host committee, whose names are listed in the program and are scrolling on the screen behind me. We also thank our corporate sponsors, the presenting supporters, American Electric Power and The Ohio State University. Platinum sponsors Honda, and diamond sponsors Huntington National Bank, L Brands, Crane Group, and Covelli Enterprises. Please join me in thanking them. There are also a host of silver and gold sponsors that are listed in the program and were recognized on the rolling screen as you were being seated. Please join me in thanking all of these wonderful sponsors. Next, we acknowledge all appointed and elected officials who joined us tonight, and we thank them very much for being here. Legends and Legacies recognizes the rich and diverse contributions of individuals who have shown their commitment to human rights, artistic excellence, and service. Their actions have influenced and impacted our community, city, state, and nation through philanthropy, service, leadership, creativity, and vision. Past recipients of the Legends and Legacies Award include Nikki Giovanni, Ruby Dee, Sonia Sanchez, Harry Belafonte, Maya Angelou, Judge Robert Duncan, all of the living Ohio Tuskegee Airmen, Archie Griffin, Judge Robert Duncan, Will Haygood, Mayor Mike Coleman, and several other distinguished Americans. And tonight, we add President and Mrs. Michael Drake to that list of illustrious individuals. So. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Jerry Revish. Jerry has been an award-winning reporter for WBNS TV since 1980. He began his broadcasting career in his hometown of Youngstown, Ohio. Jerry has won numerous journalism awards, including 11 Emmy Awards, 2 Edward R. Murrow Awards, the Best International Reporting Award from the National Association of Black Journalists, and many others. Jerry has also been inducted into the Ohio Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Please join me in welcoming Jerry Revish to the stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark, and good evening to everyone. What a special night. What a special night. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke these words regarding leadership. Not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great, because greatness is determined by service. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. I think it's safe to say that President and Mrs. Michael Drake exemplify these words, and they are inspiring others to serve as they lead by example. Tonight's honorees have accepted their destinies to be some of the strongest supporters of higher education for all. President and Mrs. Drake are etching their journeys into the pages of history. The contributions are making an impact with the quality of the student experience at The Ohio State University. Tonight's honorees have set a new benchmark for education and leadership. They have been innovative, brave, daring, determined, and passionate, and they are indeed making a difference. So allow me to give you a little background on them. Mrs. Brenda Drake. As the First Lady and University Ambassador, Brenda Drake is actively engaged in events and initiatives on behalf of Ohio State at the local, regional, and national level. Originally from Berkeley, California, Mrs. Drake has worked as a lawyer, foundation executive, community activist, and university ambassador in California and Ohio. She's often seen on campus engaging with students and faculty and staff, and is known to entertain constituents at the university residence. In June 2016, she was appointed to the Wexner Center Foundation Board. a graduate of Stanford University and the UC Berkeley School of Law. Mrs. Drake has served as a director or trustee of organizations focused on education, international health, finance, civil rights, and the arts. Dr. Michael V. Drake, he is the 15th president of The Ohio State University. His vision for the university's future focuses on access, affordability, and excellence, with an emphasis on groundbreaking research and modern and effective teaching. Other focus areas include deepening the university's community engagement and advancing inclusive excellence and diversity. He has been a leader in higher education for nearly 4 decades, serving as chancellor of the University of California, Irvine, for 9 years prior to his arrival at Ohio State. During his tenure, Dr. Drake made significant progress that resulted in Irvine being recognized as a national leader in increasing minority enrollment and sustainability. In 2014, UC Irvine ranked #1 nationally on Sierra Magazine's list of the 10 coolest schools for improving energy efficiency and sustainability. Dr. Drake is a member of the National Academy of Medicine, the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and serves on the boards of the Association of American Universities and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum. He plays a mean rhythm guitar, y'all. He serves as chairman of the Council of Presidents of the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities, and on the steering committee of the American Talent Initiative. Before we bring the Drakes to the stage, please direct your attention to the screen. There are a few others who would like to recognize them.
When I think of Dr. Drake and Brenda Drake, they're a movement. You walk into the room with them, and whether you're a student, a parent, a community leader, or a United States congressperson, you want to sit down with them. They're the type of individuals that you feel their love for this community, you feel their passionate love of people and children and the arts. But yet, when you listen to them, you hear the intensity and the exactness of wanting everything to be stellar and yet exciting.
We are so pleased that Michael and Brenda Drake are our leaders at Ohio State University, and they brought a fresh vision to the land-grant mission of Ohio State, and they are working diligently to make sure that the university is affordable and accessible and inclusive for all people of the country, not just those in Ohio, and their leadership has been outstanding.
And when I first met him, one of the endearing things was he talked about his wife and himself being as a team, and his impact and his success was their impact and their success. And Abigail and I can understand that.
They work just like Annie and I did. They work together on problems and opportunities and discuss things, and that's the way it should be.
They are kind of the ultimate power couple, and I think it was interesting. We met the Drakes when they were considering the position here, and it was very clear at that time that you know, if Michael came to the university, the community and the state and all of us got the benefit of Brenda, and how thoughtful she is and how gracious she is, and just seeing how they work together is just fun and also, you know, uplifting.
This past season, Dr. Drake and Mrs. Drake had us over to their home for a meal. All 40 athletes, coaches.
And we got to talk with both President Drake and Mrs. Drake at dinner and just ask them questions and learn from them.
Having people like Brenda and President Drake around our athletes, and our athletes really embrace them. They love seeing them at contests, and it's just a really special thing. It helps us continue to inspire our athletes to be the best that they could be.
This summer in Cincinnati, he held one of the access and affordability forums, and I sat on a panel with him. I was able to share my story from which I was homeless in high school with the president, so to show us that, like, these programs that he are sponsoring are really helping people who like really need it. And I'm a first generation student. It was just very exciting to be able to share my story with the president.
I decided to take Dr. Drake's class because, one, I was very interested in the history of civil rights being an African American male. I think it's important to know a lot about my history, but two, just for the opportunity to be in class with President Drake and see him not necessarily as a president of the university, but kind of like almost like an equal in conversation and intellectual ideas. So I thought that was a great opportunity, so I kind of jumped on it. One day in class, we were having a discussion about something, and he was like, oh, so I was meeting with the board of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We were like, the board of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Like, he said it like, oh, you know, I woke up and got some Frosted Flakes, and I'm like, no, you can't just drop that there and leave it. But no, that just shows how humble he is and how willing he is to meet with the students, being such an accomplished individual.
Well, I think Dr. Drake has done an amazing job. He's been instrumental in our work, in helping to land the Smart City Challenge grant, beating out great American cities. Ohio State was a critical partner in us being successful with that, and going to be very important as we move forward with implementation to help offer ladders of opportunity to the residents and neighborhoods of Columbus.
I thank Mrs. Drake for being so warm and welcoming when I first came to Columbus. She makes me so proud when I see her as the First Lady beside Dr. Drake at The Ohio State University. What a role model she is for me at my age, but for all of those young girls and boys who are looking up to her in ways that really make a difference.
One of the beautiful things about Pelotonia is that it brings out the best in humanity. And I think Dr. and Mrs. Drake have lived that and epitomized that through their pursuit of excellence, whether it be on campus or whether it be in the community through various endeavors and charitable organizations.
When I think of Brenda and Michael Drake, their warmth, their kindness, and their integrity immediately come to mind. From a faculty perspective, of course, the true core of Buckeye Nation is academic excellence, research distinction, and student success. Michael and Brenda Drake are building a great legacy, and the faculty is deeply grateful for their setting such a positive tone in lifting up The Ohio State University.
We'd like to thank The Ohio State University and everybody involved in that great video. And without further ado, we want to meet our honorees tonight. Please welcome President and Mrs. Michael Drake. Brenda, you serve as First Lady of The Ohio State University, one of the nation's largest, most comprehensive universities. Can you describe the special attributes you have found of a university of this size and scope?
Well, Ohio State is a big place, bigger than the university we came from, but it's also a university with a very big voice. And I'm absolutely delighted to be able to be in a place from which Michael and I can really make a difference nationally. I mean, we can do things here, but Ohio State, what happens at Ohio State is paid attention to by people in other universities, in other states. And so I'm just delighted to be able to be a part of this.
We're glad for you too. We have enjoyed, Dr. Drake, you've enjoyed an illustrious career as a physician and an administrator. What does it mean to you to serve as president of Ohio State at this stage in your career?
Well, it's great. As Brenda is saying, one of the nice things that we appreciate from this university is the influence that it has on people broadly. So it's nice to be a part of discussions of things that matter to people beyond our borders. But it's also terrific. We have a wonderful community here. The connections that the university has with the city and with Central Ohio are things that are quite uplifting. And I've been asked what part of this has been the biggest surprise or what part is the most fun. And I think that the thing that you can think about or you can understand but you can't feel until you're here is the energy that is Buckeye Nation. How much people are connected to this university many from the time that they're small children for their entire lives. And to be able to be a part of that's been really a thrill.
Right, and let me say, we have met Buckeyes all over the world. I mean, really, literally, and it's just amazing, and it's wonderful to see, and it's so heartening, because there are Buckeyes everywhere.
Everywhere. I think if you yelled OH in Nepal, somebody would say IO.
Right.
Beautiful. Brenda, you too have enjoyed a stellar career in the law as an attorney. What drew you to law school and the practice of law?
I decided, I was pretty young when I made this decision, I wanted to do something that was really intellectually challenging. And interestingly, when I was finishing college, there weren't a lot of options that were offered to us. Some went to medical school. Business school wasn't even big then. You could teach. You could go into journalism, which I thought about.
It's a great field.
I know. But I decided to go to law school. I thought it would be intellectually challenging, and I also felt that it would give me a lot of options, the ability to do a lot of different things over the course of my career. And it has, so I'm happy I made that choice.
Michael, in your public remarks, you often speak of access, affordability, and inclusive excellence. It's a cornerstone of your 2020 vision for the university. Why are those critical components for you?
Well, first, access is important because we are a public university. And I believe that universities are really important to the quality of life in communities and also in the nation. Really two things in the U.S. that strike me as standing out as being far and away the best in the world. So one, our Constitution and our system of government really has been enduring and successful for now nearly 240 years. And our universities attract people from all over the world. They really are the gold standard. And that works wonderfully, but if it's only for a few, it really doesn't benefit the community or the country or the world as much as it can. So I think that access is important. Access without affordability is kind of a raw deal, and so we have to make sure that we're affordable. And then none of those make sense. There's not really value there unless you have excellence. And so access, affordability, and inclusive excellence all work together. And I say inclusive excellence. Excellence is one thing, critical. But I don't think that we've won if the only way that we find ourselves excellent is by saying that we're excellent by who we exclude. We need to be excellent by who we include and then what we do with that. And so those are kind of cornerstones of moving forward.
Brenda, you've served in leadership roles on a variety of nonprofit boards. Do you have a favorite among those?
Well, you know, when I was sitting watching the video, I was thinking about one of the first boards I was on, and this is sort of an unusual situation. I was 27 years old. I was asked to join the board of the National Urban League, and this was during the time when Vernon Jordan was the director, and it was a really amazing time to be involved with it. I learned a lot about board service. I learned a lot about corporate America. I learned a lot about the nonprofit world. So that was the first one that had a big impact on me. More recently, I was on the board of and then chaired a board called Engender Health, which is an international women's health organization. And working on issues having to do with women's health, which is really the health of everyone, families' health, and traveling to places like Nigeria where we had clinics and meeting the women there and seeing how important it was for them to have good health care and a good life so that they could help their families. That was probably the most heartening experience that I've had as a board member, and probably the most intense.
Thank you.
And Brenda was meeting also to say that when she joined the National Urban League Board, which are made up of captains of industry nationally, that they had 2 positions in the country for people under 30, so she was one of those too. And so it was really, she contributed a lot in those days.
I know you're proud, we're proud too. That's beautiful. I appreciate that.
Just trying to set the record straight. So.
Okay. Michael, at the core of the university are the students. How do you manage to keep students as a central focus with all of the other demands on your time and the many different publics you serve?
Well, students really are a central focus. I went to medical school planning to be a doctor. I mean, that was my goal, and that's what I did. But I always enjoyed teaching and students, and so my career in academic medicine really was stimulated mostly by my interest in teaching and students and just enjoying that interaction. So I teach all the time. I've taught all these years, and the last 12 years now I've taught undergraduates, which I didn't do when I was a medical school faculty person. So that's something that helps me focus, and it's the most important thing on my calendar each year. I plan the times of my course first, and then everything else gets planned around that. And it's a great focus, and I enjoy it a lot. And then we see students in a variety of endeavors throughout the day and the week. We had dinner night before last at a sorority house just to talk generally about life at the house, and that was great. And I've met with a variety of student interest groups over the summer and these days about things that are important to them in the world, things they'd like to see happen. And then actually I spend time on campus and have lunch casually with students from time to time. And so all of those things are a way to try to keep in touch. Actually, I had the graduate student president and I were together this afternoon talking about the lives of graduate students. And so we just try to stay close enough to them to be able to be responsive and effective in helping to create a good path for them moving forward.
Picking up on you being a physician, Ohio State's fortunate to have a president who's a physician and understands the dynamics of large, complex medical centers. What excites you about the future of medicine at the Wexner Center?
Well, we have a wonderful medical center, and we have two things. First, a wonderful medical center, and we have 7 hospitals, and just opened the new Jameson Crane Sports Medicine Institute, and we, a couple of weeks before that, opened the new the Brain and Spine Hospital, so two new facilities opened in September. And we're able in a place like that to take care of patients at the highest level. That's really important, award-winning, but also to do research to help answer the questions that perplex us about patient care. And then we educate thousands of students and residents to be the caregivers and scientists of the future. So that's terrific and great. Something special about the Ohio State University is that we have all 7 health sciences disciplines on campus. And so we have interaction between all of them, and we're able, by having them all work together, look much more broadly at the problems that affect the health and lives of people. So the only place for us to be in the health sciences world is really at the top.
At the top. Brenda, your role is highly visible on campus and in the community. Can you describe how you divide your time among the students, faculty, administration, and community events?
God, it's hard to say how I divide my time. On any given day, I could be interacting with any of those groups. Over the last couple of weeks, for example, I toured a couple of the, 3 actually, of the dormitories on campus, met and had dinner with some of the resident assistants just to hear what their lives are like. I toured the pharmacy school. I like to go to the different colleges, so I went to the pharmacy college, I've been to vet med, to public health. And what I tell them is that when I can go and interact with the students at the colleges, with the faculty, and also with the staff, and come away with some stories, then that helps me to be a better ambassador. So I'm getting around to a lot of them. It's always great, great fun. I also had dinner with some of our young women on campus the other day, attended another event on campus. So on any given day, and then there are always meetings and other things. So on any given day, I might see all of those groups at one time or another.
Michael, higher education is ever evolving, and you're one of the only presidents to hold leadership positions in 5 national organizations shaping policy across the country. Can you share with us some trends you expect to see in higher education in the near term, and where Ohio State is helping to lead the national higher education agenda?
Well, great. It's fun working with our colleagues. Brenda and I have been at this for a while now. You mentioned we were in California doing this for 9 years, and now this is our 3rd year here. And so as meeting with Mike and our colleagues regularly over a dozen years, we get to know lots of people and get a chance to work with them nicely. And just to trend, this is Wednesday, so day after tomorrow, a group of people working with the American Talent Initiative are meeting together and looking at ways to create opportunity for really thousands of people from middle and lower income families to gain access to the most competitive universities in the country. And so I am really pleased to work with my colleagues on doing what we can to create even more opportunity for really talented people who may not have had as many opportunities as some others to get the best education moving forward. And we find that when we can work together as a community, a higher education community, we can affect policy and create opportunity at a much greater level than we can if we're working individually and separately. So that's just something happening this week, which is really exciting for us.
Brenda, we understand that you are fluent in French and have a passion for France and traveled abroad. Can you share some of your experiences in France that leap out to you?
I'm pretty good in French. I'm not
I
going to
thought you
say
were
I'm
gonna- I thought you were
fluent.
going to answer the question in
I
French.
could. No, I
Yeah, that
wouldn't
would
do
be-
that to it. But, no, but I enjoy studying French so much, and I've actually studied it for many, many years. The last experience I had was that I went to a town called Biarritz, which is in southwestern France, and lived with a professor for 2 weeks. And I like to do things like that because it's true immersion. You know, you're speaking French all the time, you're hearing it, and it's just great fun for me. So it's really, it's my hobby, and I absolutely love it. I try to do something like that every year. Go to France and have an immersion experience. It's great fun, great fun.
Sounds like it. Michael, talent acquisition is, in every business, is crucial to its future. Can you share any insight into how you attract really great faculty to Ohio State?
Well, it's an interesting, something we do on an ongoing basis. And so one thing that's good for us is that everyone in the country knows Ohio State. So we're known already. We don't have to introduce ourselves or tell people what we're doing or the quality of what we're doing. So we're well known. And then we have really wonderful faculty. So the biggest attraction two things attract faculty, 2.5. So one thing that attracts faculty is the quality of the university broadly and the opportunities that they'll have to work in their lab or on the stage or wherever they're going to be doing their work. Another thing that attracts faculty strongly is the quality of the faculty colleagues that they will have. So the facilities and the place really important, the colleagues you'll work with really important, and then the students that you'll be able to interact with and teach really important. And in all three of those circumstances, we have people who are at the very top. The most recent faculty person that I participated actively in recruiting is our new dean of the College of Medicine, who started with us about 6 weeks ago, came from the University of Wisconsin, would have been a finalist candidate for the deanship of any medical college in the country, and he really sees the opportunity here, the people he can work with, the students he can teach, the laboratories, and that is really, that opportunity is really what we show to people and allows us to attract the very best.
We're playing Wisconsin this weekend.
Yes.
I hope he's going to be okay with that.
He'll be entirely fine with it because he's now a Buckeye.
That's right. All right, gotcha.
It's easy. And let me say just another reason to be a Buckeye, I'll tell you, is that you could, he'll be fine with that.
Brenda, every working woman has to balance career demands, and in your case, 2 highly successful careers. Can you share how you and Michael made decisions together as 2?
You know, I mean, we've been really in a partnership, I think, since we met and we were kids in college. And I think just decided we were going to make our life together and move forward together. And so when we discuss things, we generally just share information and try to be respectful of each other and respectful of our views, and then come to some decision. And it's so far so good. I mean, 41 years.
41 years?
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Michael, the King Arts Complex patrons are especially interested to hear about your class that involves a history of jazz. Can you tell us about your class and your love of teaching?
So when I was going to start, I'd been teaching medical students and ophthalmologists actively for decades. A few years ago, I wanted to teach undergraduates and needed to figure out something to do that was going to be interesting to them. And I remember experiences that I had when I was in college in a seminar with a senior professor, but just a few of us sitting around. I remember I could describe that to you now. And then my son in college described things that he'd learned in a seminar. And so I thought, well, great, I'll teach a seminar so that I'm in close contact with the students. And let's pick something interesting. And so I had a couple things I tried that started with medicine, but I thought music would be an interesting thing to talk about so that we could talk about art. And many of you have heard me say this, but art comes from the personal and political and social circumstances of the artist. And so something that's very important to King Arts and the things that happen here is, I thought what we'd do is focus on the music of the civil rights era and look at how music changed during those years as the country was changing during those years. And so I put together a course, and I used mainly popular music, went through about 5,000 songs and picked out about 50 that kind of describe that arc of history. We've modified the course a bit over the years and now focus, although the music is a part of it, we focus a lot on the Supreme Court as well and kind of balance the interplay between what was happening in the streets, what was happening on the airwaves, and what was happening in the courts, and so that's the balance. And then with some people here in Columbus, we talked about changing the focus a little bit and looking at jazz as the art form that we would study. And so we started in the 1940s, late 1940s, and went through around 1968, 1970. We kind of started with Bird Parker and went through kind of a lot of Miles and Coltrane and some Cannonball at the end, and just how they were reflecting on the times through the 50s and 60s, and really kind of the African-American experience during those years in music and song.
Beautiful, wonderful. Brenda, we understand you were just appointed to the board of the Wexner Center for the Arts. Tell us about your interest in the arts, and can you share with us your opinion of your husband's musical talent?
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I think he's terrific. He does a great job with it. He's a hard worker. Both of us like to kind of push ourselves to do things that we might not otherwise do, because I think that's part of learning and growing. So I'm very proud of him. And he has a ball doing that. He has a ball playing the guitar. I have been interested in the arts since I was a little girl. I'm not an artist, never felt that I was good at that, but I was always interested in it. And so my parents exposed me to art, to opera, to ballet, to a lot of different things when I was a girl. Traveled to Europe when I was a young teenager and saw just amazing artwork. And ever since then, I've just been a lover of it. Love going to galleries. You'll always find me in a museum if I'm visiting any city, because I just like to see the work that's being done. And then I also like to collect art as well and support artists, because I think they need and deserve our support. So I also like to purchase pieces.
Michael, you and Brenda have 2 sons. Have they followed in their parents' footsteps in law, medicine, or higher ed?
Well, we have one in law, who's a lawyer, and then another who is finishing his PhD, and so he'll be going into higher ed, and so that's their 2 career paths. And so I guess yes. I mean, they've gone to school like we did.
Yes.
I guess I hadn't thought of it that way so much.
Yeah.
We all went to the same college, which was nice. So so we have a lot of shared experiences. And it's great fun. They're great. They're wonderful boys.
Wonderful, like the family
I say boys.
business.
The
they're
family business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brenda, I understand you have a special passion for your grandkids. Yes. What do you like most about being a grandmother?
Oh, gosh. I just love their sweetness and unconditional love. I love experiencing things through their eyes. When you're a parent, you're so busy. A lot of the times it's hard to really kind of settle down and focus on what it is that your children are doing or experiencing. We try, but it's hard because there's so much going on. When you're a grandparent and you're with those kids, nothing else matters.
How old are they?
They are 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, wonderful.
So we have 2 boys and 2 girls.
2 boys and 2 girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Michael, football games in Ohio Stadium are a Columbus ritual every fall. What does a game day entail for you and Brenda?
Well, leisurely, day with friends, though the game days are very busy. I make a small joke. They're very busy because we have a chance to see lots of people who are coming to Columbus to celebrate the university and their ties with the universities. There are many, many people, tens of thousands of people who are there every week, but there are also people who are there for the first time. We had people this last week, it was the first time for a Big Ten game of any kind. And so we get a chance to interact with them. We have supporters of the university from government and industry and the alumni body there with us. And it's just a great time for people to come together. And I mentioned the spirit of Buckeye Nation. We feel it in many ways as we travel around the country and around the world, but you really feel it in the shoe on Saturday afternoons in the fall. So it's a terrific experience.
It's a great experience for everybody in this town. It really is.
It's also a great way for me to get people to come to Columbus. I use it as a way to get friends from California, for example, and other places to come and see this city, because they often don't know anything about it. So if I can lure them with football, and then while they're here, take them to the museum and to Franklin Conservancy and out to the zoo and downtown to some of the great restaurants in German Village and wherever, they're hooked.
Yeah.
They said, I had no idea. So
Well,
I like being an ambassador for Columbus as well.
We got an email from a visitor, actually 2 visitors over the last couple of weeks, who said, you know, we're Buckeyes for life from different parts of the world who've come through for a little bit, and they said, we get it. Go Bucks. So,
all right, go Bucks. Last question for both of you. Aren't they great? Fabulous people tonight. As you both think about your life's work, what do you want your legacies to be? Dr. Drake?
Oh gosh, I think that's a hard thing to think about. You know, it's not something you don't think about when you're trying to live it. But I always wanted to be remembered as a good husband, good father, good grandfather. I think that would be great. I'm particularly these days, I'm particularly thinking about the grandchildren a lot. And if one can behave in a way that allows one's grandchildren to be proud, I think that's a great blessing.
That's true.
Brenda was saying what's special about him. You know, particularly the 4-year-old is the most, we interact with her the most. And it just means more than you can say to get a hug from somebody who actually hugs you, meaning it completely. And people were asking, what do they call you, and how did you decide what they were going to call you? And I said, gee, whatever she would call me would be perfect, you know, and be the nicest thing I ever heard. And so just to try and live a life that would allow them to be proud, if I could say that, would be a wonderful legacy.
That's true.
You melted my heart with that. I'm a grandpa too, so I know how
so
to
you know what I mean. Right?
You know.
Talk to me about legacy.
I think a lot about making my father proud and kind of continuing what he did with his life. My father grew up in rural Georgia, very poor, had to stop out of school when he was 9 because the family needed money. They were farmers, so they had food, but they didn't have any cash. So he and his brother stepped out and started working, his older brother. Then he went back to school when he was, how old was he, 16 when he started high school? Became the valedictorian, went on to Morehouse College, to Meharry Medical College, became a general surgeon, was the head of a MASH unit in Korea. He was just an amazing guy, and when I think about where he came from and how he always wanted to do better, you know, and move forward and make a difference. And as my husband said, when my dad passed away almost over 14 years ago, Michael said he cut down trees to create a highway for everybody else, and that truly is what he did. And I want to keep doing that. So that's what I want my legacy to be.
Cut down trees to make a legacy for everybody else. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation. I think we all got to know them a little better tonight, wouldn't you say? At this time, we want you to stay with us for a very special performance. Please welcome to the stage 2 young ladies who are no strangers to performing in front of large audiences at the King Arts Complex. They began as youth, and they're still youth, but they're teenagers now. Let's give a warm round of applause for Talia Gaston, an 8th grader at Harvest Prep, and Lanaya Campbell, a 7th grader at Walnut Springs, as they share their special poem, Debate for the Drakes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lanaya Campbell.
And my name is Talia Gaston.
Now, this section on track is my section, the best section, the loudest section. You ready? OH! OH! OH!
Now, this section on is my section, the better section. OH! OH! Now that we have engaged you in our presentation, sit back and relax so we introduce our honoraries without hesitation.
He spent 4 decades serving in higher education to let you know if displaying his talents at universities and national leadership is the way to go.
Barack Obama was the first United States African-American president, which he was great, and now we have Dr. Michael Drake, at the Ohio State.
He focused on engagement within the community, advancing an excellent and diversity to pull together unity,
Increasing the minority enrollment are keys he intends to address,
which he was ranked at UC Irvine one of the 10 coolest schools. Improving energy, you know he's the best. He enjoys playing the guitar and listening to rock and jazz, which is a blast. Being recognized at the King Arts Complex Legends and Legacies Awards, these memories will always last. Remember, you are our legends. We are your legacies. God bless you.
Thank you, young ladies. Talia Gaston, Elenaya Campbell, thank you so much for your tributes. Our next guests to join us on stage are Alex Shoemate, Managing Partner, Squire Patton Boggs, and Chairman of the Ohio State University Board of Trustees, and Eugene D. Smith, Senior Vice President and Wolf Foundation Endowed Athletic Director of the Ohio State University. Please give them a round of applause.
Michael, Brenda, isn't this a great evening? Let's celebrate this evening. We are truly grateful tonight to celebrate President and Mrs. Michael Drake because they've been outstanding, inspirational leaders. Not only are they creating history at The Ohio State University, they are making history across our country. As someone recently commented, they are leaving footprints throughout the world. Indeed, there has been no limit to their compassion, their contributions, and their commitment. The King Arts Complex is very proud to honor such an amazing couple that represent the best of humanity.
Good evening, everyone, and before I get started, I have to give a shout out to our women's and men's track team. Can you guys stand up? Let's give them a real warm welcome to the King Arts Center. Thank you for being here. Many of the past honorees, against all odds, have looked adversity in the face and excelled above circumstances. Economics, gender, societal biases, and ethnic and cultural stereotypes. Their indomitable spirits have given them the courage and strength to succeed. The President and the First Lady exemplify these qualities. The award reads, "Thank you, Brenda and Michael Drake, the 2016 King Arts Complex Legends and Legacies honorees. Your dynamic leadership, stellar careers, and beautiful family encourages all of us to strive to reach our fullest potential. We're so proud of Ohio State's President and First Lady."
At this time, it's our honor, our privilege to present the Legends and Legacies Award to the President and First Lady of the Ohio State University. Give them a grand round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. There you go. You can hold that. Okay.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Alex. Now it's time for our honorees to have their acceptance speeches. So, ladies and gentlemen, please receive President and Mrs. Michael Drake.
I'd like to thank Demetrius Neely first, the Board of Trustees of the King Arts Complex, Jean and Sheila Smith, Renee and Alex Shoemate, our friends, both of them, the co-chairs for this wonderful event. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for being here. Really, really appreciate it. I'm kind of overwhelmed by this. Thank you. This is a beautiful party, and this is a tremendous honor for us. As many of you know, I try to be a champion of the arts of all types: musical performance, painting, singing, dancing, writing, because I believe that art can be an effective teacher, a profound healer, and a transformative bridge between our experiences and our feelings. Art reflects our past, our present, and our future, and it connects us to worlds that we might not otherwise be able to experience. I am really delighted that the King Arts Complex is here in our community, and that it serves to educate and inspire the people of Columbus and Central Ohio every day. Our lives are richer because of the King Arts Complex. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for including us in this wonderful, wonderful event. I really appreciate it. It's a great honor. Now, my husband.
And add my thanks to all, to Brenda's, and thank all of you for being here this evening. It really is a great honor. We've been looking forward to it. We've had a wonderful time since we arrived in Ohio, being welcomed by the board and the others who helped to show us this opportunity, and then by our neighbors and friends around the community. It's been really tremendous being a part of Buckeye Village, Buckeye Nation. I was thinking as we were talking tonight, I was 20 years old and working at Tower Records in Sacramento, and about to go back for my senior year in college. And I was at work one evening, kind of taking a break. It was 8-ish at night, sort of a bit after sunset. And I looked out and I saw a bright star in the western sky. And I thought, I should make a wish, and I always did that as a child. And so I thought, what would I need? And what I thought I'd need is, I said, I'm going back to college. What I really need is, I'm 20, sometime I'm going to need a partner to kind of move forward in the world. And, that's just something to think about. So I made a wish. The nerds in the audience will know that it was actually Venus that I was looking at, and not a. So if you realized it was Venus, then you are, in fact, a nerd. But it's a good thing, a nerd in a good way. But I made a wish, and I thought, great, but I didn't think about it much. Then first week of school, when I was a senior, I was just there, and I was in a class, and as the class was sort of winding up, there'd been a young woman who I'd met briefly in years past, who I knew was in the class, and I thought maybe I would figure out something to say to her on this day. I wasn't sure what I'd say, and so I thought I'd kind of wait for her to leave. The class was like this, an auditorium seating, and she was sitting in back of me someplace. So I thought I'd kind of wait till she got out, and then I'd run up and figure out something to say. And so I was kind of reshuffling my peachy folder, trying to figure out a way to do something to allow myself to sit there as the class emptied out. And all the people were walking by, and she still hadn't left, all the people walking by, and so I alphabetized things multiple times, I really remember sitting there. And then the class was about empty, and I was tapped on the shoulder from the back. And it was Brenda, and she was asking me how I was doing and, where I was living this year and things like that. And it was a strange moment, because I was waiting for her, not really knowing her, and then here she was. And we had a nice conversation. Then after, I'll tell you the conversation, if I may, it will explain a lot. We had a conversation. She was going to go and buy a stereo, and I had been working at the record store and playing lots of records. I knew about stereos, and I said, I will help. I knew wires and cords, and Nick, we had amps and things, and we knew about plugging in cords. So I said, I'll go and help you pick this out. And so I went to a record store there in Palo Alto, or a stereo store in Palo Alto, and we looked around, and she kind of walked in with thinking she was going to get a KLH system, and we looked around, and I said, gosh, here's a component system that's higher quality, lower price, really better sound fidelity. Here's how you use this. It works nicely. And she said, yeah, I was kind of thinking of the KLH. And I said, well, here's why this other one would work better. I'll say that KLH actually is still at our home today. We still have it all these years later, I promise. And that's really been the secret to the success of our marriage, you know, is that we have discussions, but we start with what's right. What I want to say, though, is that Brenda understates her capability and her focus and her drive and her standard of excellence. I mean, she was president of her high school. She graduated from college 2 years early, graduated from law school the week that she turned 23, passed the bar with marks that were high enough that she became a bar examiner 2 years after that. So had a wonderful corporate career. I mentioned that she was on the Urban League board, but that really was 2 people out of the whole country. And she's had that kind of leadership role in multiple aspects throughout her life. A real devotion to our boys, so that they had incredible lives with a very supportive mother, always on the boards of their schools, but also always a civic leader. Several times, 2 times at least, when we were in San Francisco, San Francisco had Brenda Jackson Drake Day declared for the city because of the contributions that she made to the city. And then a couple of years ago, she stopped really doing law to focus, and just a few years ago, focus on university life and doing the things that we were doing in California and now the things that we're doing here. And so the secret sauce is really the standards that she sets and tries to keep me on my feet to move things in a positive direction every day. But I know that my biggest supporter and guide is always at home. And so I just want to make sure that she gets proper recognition for that. And that's how much I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And really thank you all so very much for being here and for this great honor. Thank you.
Round of applause for President and Mrs. Michael Drake. You can see why they've been married 41 years. They still are in love with each other. That is so great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As they take their seats, we would like to direct your attention to the screen one more time. There are some other folks that want to say thanks.
Brenda and Michael, congratulations on receiving this wonderful award. Clearly, it couldn't be more well-deserved.
Annie and I, take great pleasure in congratulating you on this most prestigious award.
On behalf of the Medical Center and our cancer program, I want to congratulate Dr. and Mrs. Drake.
Congratulations, Dr. and Mrs. Drake.
You are the best people that could possibly be recognized with this award.
Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your passion for all those that you serve.
Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Drake.
Congratulations.
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 Congratulations, and we hope you have a great night.
Congratulations, Dr. and Mrs. Drake. Woo!
Congratulations, Michael and Brenda. And as always, go Bucks.
Go Bucks. Go Bucks. And our final guest speaker is no stranger to the Drakes. Please give a warm welcome to the Honorable Congresswoman Joyce Beatty.
Good evening, and thank you so much. I have the easiest job of the evening, and I am the fortunate one because my job is to say congratulations. Congratulations to you, Brenda and Michael, from the community, from the state, and from the 3rd Congressional District. It is indeed an honor for me to be here and to also extend to you the 2 most powerful words one can say, and that is thank you. I've had the honor of knowing you since you arrived, and tonight I say to the audience, what you see is what you get. Clearly we have heard and we have read about their stellar backgrounds, but tonight the gift that they have given to us is the gift of friendship, partnership, and love. So to you, Brenda and Michael, I say, some people inspire themselves, but amazing people like you inspire others. Thank you for inspiring this community. I have a proclamation that I will leave, and we will give it to you. Godspeed, good night. I am Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I approve this message.
I always worry about following Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, you know? The good news is I get to close out the program, so I think it's okay. This has been an amazing evening, hasn't it? Aren't they inspiring? Oh my goodness. Such an inspiring couple and such great leadership at The Ohio State University. We are so proud. You will notice that they were wearing kente cloths this evening, and the kente was donned on them pre-event. We wanted them to wear that because it's our signature at the King Arts Complex. It's a great African tradition, and they are worn in times of extreme importance, which tonight was. So, Dr. Drake and Mrs. Drake, once we don you a kente, that means you are forever tied to the King Arts Complex. So, you know what that means. But anyway, as we close out, we have a reception in the Nicholson Auditorium, and if you follow the slave ship and the music to the Nicholson Auditorium, please try to stay for it if you can. On the outside of this wall to my left is our wall of legends. If you have a minute, please take a look at the wall so that you can see all the legends and the custom-made plaque that we designed for the Drakes. And finally, our art exhibit that's in our art gallery is the art of Zin Shan Ren, which is a great art exhibit. And if you, on your way to the reception, please take a minute to look at that. And with that, we are concluded. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.